All right, so I'm going to be talking about human capital, and you see from these presentations already, you want to have people happy, okay? Like not that happy, because maybe that's a bit too much. I mean, you can. That's like being high happy, which by the way is pretty much what you could find in my previous employer. I used to work for Mundi Pharma, so having people running around high was quite common. So I'm going to try to, spoiler alert, I am not an expert, okay? But I've been doing this for a while, and I've been restructuring teams in different organizations, in Helsing, in Mundi Pharma, and now in Glenmark. And I'll try to give you a glimpse of what I found as being more or less working. So first of all, I'll present what Glenmark is. I'll try to do it very quickly in a way. But Glenmark is known, or has been known in the past mostly for generics. But now, in the past 3 years, has been really pivoting toward innovation. Either incremental innovation such as 505(b)(2) kind of products, such as our royalties, but also new chemical entity, new biological entities. And part of my job here in this transformation is to still manage and nurture the existing business within generics, but then moving on as much as we can into a more of a specialty innovation and high value area. This year, we're going to hit about $1.8 billion in revenues across the globe. We are the 14th company in India, fastest growing there. We also are the 15th largest generic company in the US and 5th largest generic company in Europe. We have end-to-end R&D capabilities. We work on new chemical entities. We work on new biological entity. We do generic formulations. We do also MDI, DPI, and everything which is in respiratory as well. We have 40 manufacturing sites in 4 continents. So quite a lot of people we were discussing this morning of how many people actually end up in our production facilities and how little innovation there's there, or not enough, or automation. And then we have 4 research and development centers. So in terms of, not many know, but we've already out-licensed 7 new molecular entities, either NCEs or MBEs. In the past 15 years, we collected about $300 million in milestone payments already from there. So there's always been a side of innovation in Glenmark. I will just move on to the next one, just to show you where we are. So, well, you see there, 1.62 billion. That's the revenue in FY23. Because we Indians, okay, we have the financial year like the Brits have. Which I'm Italian, so I don't understand that, but it's from April to March. So from April to March last year, FY23, we've reached about 1.62 billion. And if you look at the spread, US represents about $400 million for us. Europe represents about $300 million for us. India is still very strong, about 500 million. But the beauty of our platform is that we generate roughly 850, 900 million in emerging markets. So we want to become more and more the partner of choice within emerging markets. These are some of the novel small molecules and biologics that we're working on. They're all between preclinical phase 1, and some of them are in development as a phase 1 too, such as our HPK1, the GRC 54276, as well as all of those biologics. Those are so they are either bispecific, trispecific, or multi-specific biologics in multiple myeloma mainly, but also autoimmune diseases. So why is partnership so important in any organization, of course, but also in Glenmark, and why I'm proud of leading a department that is working mostly on partnerships? We generate roughly 20% of the revenues across the world through partnerships. Actually, we have some peaks, such as in Europe, where 50% of our revenues come from B2B business, either in-licensed asset that we put on the market or out-licensed assets. And this area of the business is actually growing massively. We foresee having, in the next 5 years, moving to about 30-35% of our revenues driven by B2B. And that's what we've been working on, at least for the past 3 years. This is just to show you some of the deals that we've very recently signed. We signed envafolimab, a PD-L1 which has got a very novel formulation in a way. It's a light PD-1. It's like a nanobody, and therefore is much more penetrating. It's in a sub-Q formulation, and it's approved in MSI high, and then a bunch of other development going. The other one is in our other area of interest, which is we have oncology, dermatology, and respiratory. In dermatology, we have Winlevi. Winlevi is clascoterone, a product for acne, androgen receptor modulator. And this is the first new chemical entity in acne for at least 20, 25 years. So all of these, well, first of all, I need to do my job and I need to show you the company. But all of these is to show also how we need to be able to scale up, to move, to change, and to grow. At the end, if you boil it down to a few elements, you either have new products in the right existing markets, or you have new markets with the right existing products, or you increase penetration wherever you are already. Fine, everybody knows, nothing crazy there, or a mix of those. So what do you need there? Fine, you need products. Okay, you've got to have the right product. You've got to develop the product, in-license the product. You need to have that kind of portfolio. But that is feasible. I mean, it's not rocket science, quite frankly. You need capital. Again, capital is readily available, even now, even if it costs a little bit more. But as long as you can leverage and you have more returning on your capital than what you spend for your capital, then it's fairly easy to get. Of course, I'm talking from a company, Glenmark, where in a couple of months we'll be completely debt-free. So we're not really doing a great job there, I think. But it's also good to be debt-free. But what is difficult is people. So people have the know-how, the skills. You need to find the right people. You need to find the right hardware. You need to find ways of implementing that hardware and getting it better and better. So people are the key, and again, everybody knows it, are the key for the growth of a company. Now, how do you attract and select the right people? And this is not in any way exhaustive. There are some key elements that I try to capture that I think will help everybody selecting the right people. The first one is the employer value proposition. You have much higher chance of finding the people that you need if you're capable of showing the rest of the market what your company is about. What is your culture? What are you doing? Where are you going? What is your strategy? What is your purpose? Why should you be working here? How? And then finally the what. But the employer proposition is what attracts people. And it's not easy, especially if you are a company that's been mostly seen as a generic company. Finding the right people in this transformation, it's quite hard. Reasoning skills are key. I would say the reasoning is more important than the actual experience. So being able to attract people that can reason, understand, work a business case. So what we do is case study-driven interviews. We would ask them, what would you do if you have these two assets in your hand and you're working for Glenmark and you know what Glenmark is now, so which one would you choose? And there may be not, there's no right answer. It's just the way they provide you that answer, the way they encase the answer, the study, the reasoning behind. And that is what we're searching for. I'm sure you heard of the Fermi test on relevant iterations. So Fermi, great physics, of course Italian, which helps. He had one question he would do to his students, which is how many piano tuners are in Chicago? Now, you can do that in any city. So if you have an interview, now I do it much less with the senior people because they get annoyed. But middle management and so on, it's much easier to do that. And you just ask them, and say, what do you think is the number of piano tuners in London? And then it's, again, there's no, I don't know, there's no true and an answer on point, but there's a reasoning mechanism. There's the kind of reasoning that we use every day to do epi-based studies, to look into what is the market like or what could it be. So when that person in front of you start, giving you, okay, so fine, how many people are in London then? and how many families are there, how many apartments, how many pianos in those apartments. So how long, when do you need to tune your piano? Every 1 year, 2 years, and so on. And so they start building the case, and you see how they think. And people that get just scared, you can see that they're maybe under pressure, they cannot communicate, they miss out, they tell you a number out of the blue. Those are the people that you don't want. Attitude. You got to strive to find the owner's mindset. People need to be self-motivated. KPIs are one thing, but you got to have, and bonus is great, and we're not just working for the glory, fine, but it's all hygienic factors. Everybody gives bonuses, everybody pays people, but you want to have people that take ownership of their project and want to show the rest of the organization that they got there. It's also personal, commitment somehow. And then the other one is fits with the culture. Every company's got its culture, and cultures can change, but it takes ages. Okay, so there's usually so you want to get people that are close to your culture already, but they're going in the right direction where your culture needs to be in 5 years' time. So that's another point. Interpersonal skills, of course, are important. Comfortable with metric structure, with project-driven approach, and leads with influence. Many times, you don't really need the reporting lines. You need to lead with influence. You need, especially in BD. In BD, we work across, I don't know how many departments, and we need to lead with influence. Because, otherwise, so you need to create internal networks, no? So you want to try to figure out if they have those skills. And then finally, can I improve the software? So once I've tested the hardware, so the hardware is there. The guy is good, he seems good. He knows what he's doing, he knows how to reason. So then how do we improve the software? And for that, I have a slide about simple gap analysis of where does it need some training. So any good software, any basic good hardware, let's say, for whatever is the right macro environment for that position will be upgradable. So that's the way I look at it. Now, in selecting the right people, I usually go for 2 parameters. This is actually, you may have seen this. It's used by the Navy SEALs. So the Navy SEALs select one, there's a specific group in the Navy SEALs, which is the highly trained, SWAT team for the Navy SEALs. And the way they select them is they plot people on this graph. They keep on plotting people and their resources, their human resources on this graph. One is performance, one is trust. On the performance axis, they call it performance on the field, while the trust is actually usually called performance off the field, okay? And you start plotting people, and of course, you don't want the low performer, and you don't want the low trust, low performance, of course. Of course, you want the high performance and high trust. Beautiful, easy. But now, how do you select between the other two? Do you want the guy? So this is like super high performance group of people. They need to be cutting edge. So would you get somebody that is always delivering, is on top of it, is the greatest performer? He will get things done regardless, okay? Or do you get the person that maybe doesn't get there every single time, but is super trustworthy? Everybody, if he's out in the team and there's one man down, he will run back and pick up the man and bring him with him. Well, actually, you would rather select the trust, high trust, low performance over the high performance, low trust. And that's the same for our teams. You don't want any asshole. That one up there, the high performance, low trust, that's the asshole of the team. That's the one that gets always the KPIs, and he feels he needs like 120% of the bonus, and I've done this, and it's all about him. That guy is also the guy that is a killer for the team. It is toxic. The whole team will not function. Despite he will function very well, the rest of the team will perform much worse. So you don't want that guy. You want the one that is trustworthy. And by the way, it's not that difficult to select these people, because you ask the team member, they will point to the asshole. So you kind of know the guys that you don't want. Now, in managing effectively a global team and avoiding hypertrophic growth, so Well, it's not easy, especially when the organization is growing, sales are growing, and so you feel like you need people, work overload. I mean, I've got, now in my team, I have about 110 people across the world. And you need to find ways of making them work together. And what do you do there? You break silos. So you don't want silos across. You are an enabler. You don't need to show them that you're better than them. You're not the boss because you can do everything better than the other ones, and you need to show them, and you need to show the management or whatever. You need to be able to show everybody that your team is capable, because you're a reflection of the team. So if you are an enabler, you let them get their wings, and you help them in that. You're assigning task-based responsibilities. So it's not about, the easiest thing is to create those little silos that you see around, okay? And it's peace of mind for management. You give them the task, that's their responsibility, okay? And then you wait and you see what's going to happen at the end. That's what you do. But that doesn't really work. They're going to be clashing. They're going to be doing multiple things which are just a different iteration of the same task. They are slow at the end. They think they're quick, but they're only quick in silo. So you need to connect those dots. And the other thing is you need to get them happy about working on tasks. So the most exciting task is what should propel their willingness to work. Then you got to upgrade the software, like the metrics. It's just, you plan, you map the skill in hierarchy, what you want on top, most important. You plot the current state of skills, and then, of course, you upgrade them. Finally, last slide, and I've covered quite a lot, effective setting of KPIs. So, of course, you want to start from why. This I stole very proudly from Simon Sinek. If you haven't read Simon Sinek books or heard him in speeches, I urge you to do. It's actually quite amazing. And he's always talking about the why first. Start with why, then the how, then the what. Also with objectives. So the purpose needs to be somehow within the objectives. And then how do you achieve? Because if you achieve your target, but you're actually doing it in an unethical manner or against what are the values of your company, that's not fine. That's the toxic member, okay? Then leading versus lagging KPIs. I'll give you one single quick examples of what that means. Okay, I want to lose 5 kilos in 3 months. Okay, that's a lagging KPI. I want to go on today, scale, and see in 3 months that I lost 5 kilos. That's not going to happen. So you need to have the leading KPIs. The leading KPIs are the most important. It's a set of KPIs that build up to that lagging KPI. So how many calories are you taking in a day? How many steps? How many times to the gym? So those are actually the single little steps of your objectives that will then deliver the final KPI. So always stress the leading versus the lagging KPIs. And finally, building engagement and gratification. People need to have fun at the end. They need to like what they do. So you got to find ways of making them happy. You got to take them out when a good deal is done. You got to, celebrate the wins. And that's pretty much it. Good, thank you.